Oh, hey there. Good to see you again. Thanks for tuning in to another Brewnomics interview series at the Lounge at the End of the Universe. I'm Jerry.
I'm Vic.
I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Steve.
Jeremy and Steve are some badass home brewers. In what way, you say? A lot. We'll get there in a minute. But first,
Let's drink a beer.
all right. So, of course, we got to break the ice. It's a beer podcast. Let's get into this. This is one that these guys are out of Salt Lake, new to the area here, but it's very cool Mexican theme to all their beers. This is Cerveza-Zolupez Beer Company. This is their Golden Ale. It's a Mexican-style craft beer with mango, lemon peel, and natural flavors, coming in at 4.5%. I feel like a pretty good way to start, nice and gentle on this 98-degree day. You guys are familiar with Untapped, right?
Yes.
I know
we
you are.
are,
We talked
yep.
about it before the show, but I
Right.
just wanted the people to know. So this beer, of course, on Untapped is pretty new. 156 check-ins, coming in at 3.76. Untapped says 5.91%. Huge discrepancy from the can. Always trust the can. Have you guys had this before?
I have not had this
Nope.
one.
Have you had anything from these guys before?
Never even
Nope.
seen it before.
Never even seen it before. I picked it up down the street. We had one of their IPAs the other day. It was fine.
It was fine. Yeah.
Well, not a bad little sessionable IPA. So let's see what we think of this one. A
No.
golden ale with mango and lemon peel.
Quite interesting. Yeah, I noticed you guys went in for the smell. What are the aromatics you're getting off this? Since you guys are craft home brewers, I'm gonna really stand on that. Your
Well,
profile sense and
I
characteristics.
picked up a lot of fruity notes, mostly the mango. Not a lot of lemon in there. There was some maltiness in the background, but no hop
Yeah.
profile at all that I could tell.
No,
Almost
no,
none.
no.
Yeah, I agree.
Mango dominates. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the big thing here.
And I'm kind of about that, especially during the summer. I'm a sucker for mango. This one, not too bad. Pretty drinkable. For looking as light as it is and sitting at 4.5%, being a golden ale, seems kind of fluffy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But good. I like this beer a lot. I think, what did I say, 3.76 on Untapped?
I believe so.
Yeah. What do you guys think of that rating?
What's the scale?
Oh, Untapped,
0
it's
to 5.
pretty much 0.25 to 5. So if it's a perfect beer, it's all 5s.
And it's saying
And
3.25.
it's saying a 3.76 on average.
I'd go with that. I mean, I don't. It's a delicious beer. It's tasty. It'd be great on a hot day. It doesn't really fit any style that I know of, so there's that. Other than maybe.
How do you think it hits on
fruit
that
beer.
golden ale style, if that's what it's trying to go for?
Golden Ale is more of a Belgian beer, and there should be some phenolics in there, and I think it's missing on all of those. But
But for a
Excellent.
Mexican beer, it's
It definitely has a
pretty
lot
easy
more.
drinking and
yeah,
not
us homebrewers call this a lawnmower beer. This is what you drink when you're out there working in the yard.
Absolutely
Yes,
agreed.
you
I think
do.
we would 100%. We typically don't drink beer under 5% on the show because I just drink a soda at that point. But every now and then, and especially when it's this hot, you got to start it. We have some that's definitely going to go above that mark. But I would not give this a 3.76. It's cheap. This is like $8 a six pack or something, if I recall right. Maybe 9, not very much at all. I just bought 2 cans, $2 each. So definitely on the lower side when it comes to price. So I like that, but I'd give it, right in the middle of 3.5.
Excellent. Yeah, I would agree with that. 3.5 is still above the bell curve essentially. If you go, it's 0.275 would really be the apex of that bell curve. So I think a 3.5 is real nice on that one. What do you think, Jeremy?
3.5 sounds about right. One of the things that you need to be paying attention to when you're tasting beer is that the environment is everything. And the way I've heard it explained before is that when you have Thanksgiving dinner with your family, it's an amazing meal. You love everything about it. But if you were to make by yourself in the middle of summer Thanksgiving dinner, it's just a meal. So when you're drinking beer, if you're in the right company, a beer can be fantastic. And if you're judging it, it may not fit.
Interesting. I love that piece of insight there. That's helpful. Yeah, Steve, what do you think?
I'd probably rate it a little bit lower, 325. For me, the mango's just a little too much. I'm not really a fruit beer type of guy, so the mango really sticks out, and it's kind of something I don't really like that much. But that's more of a personal preference than anything else. So
Sure.
And that's why we have our own personal ratings on here. I know on our last podcast we had one beer. I won't say what it is, but I rated it like a 1.25 when you had somebody rate it like a 3.5. So we were all over the place
Oh,
for
yeah.
our own certain taste profiles. God, that beer was
It was. Yeah, check out that podcast. It's super interesting.
well, let's get into it then, shall we?
Yeah, gents. So, Jeremy, Steve, tell us about yourselves a little bit. Let the people know who you are and what got you into home brewing.
Because I know we're a lot. I always said home brewers, but I know you guys are a lot more than just a couple of average home brewing gentlemen.
Of course.
Let's say beer fanatics. We met doing homebrew stuff that progressed into taking beer classes together to learn how to judge. We passed the beer judge certification program exam. We've judged professionally in Idaho Falls for years. We currently help run the Western Idaho Fair's homebrew competition. We're just nuts about beer. We love helping people get involved and really enjoy beer, number one, but enjoy tasting beer with people who are also excited about the product. At least that's my take. I don't know, Steve.
yeah, I think it's more helping people appreciate craft beer versus the more industrialized beer that you can buy, and helping them appreciate what they're tasting and all the different flavors and nuances between the styles and within the styles themselves too. So I think that's more what we're for.
Was there, because I know we started drinking craft beer really around the time we could start drinking beer, and then it was a long time ago. So craft beer then was like, New Belgium, or maybe you'd get a Widmer or something like that, but you didn't have the huge selection that we have right now. Was there something or a beer that you guys remember bringing into? Have you always liked beer, as long as you could, of course, legally drink? I'm sure you started at 21, just like we did. Or was there like a turning stone to where like maybe you're a little bit older and you finally started to have some good beer and you're like, shit, I could really get down on this?
Well, I'm an old guy. I could drink at 18, so that was before 21. But the first beers I had in college were, they're animal beer. There were the Schmidt and the Coors Light and that type of thing. But it wasn't until I moved to San Diego that I really had my first taste of craft beer, and that was in the early 90s. We used to frequent Pizza Port there before it became a big brewery. At that time, it was just a little local pizzeria with a brewery there too. And I used to work just down the street from there, and so Friday afternoons we'd go up there and have our lunch and maybe go back to work in the afternoon after that. But
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, just grab a slice and a pint, call it good. Yeah.
a slice of the pitcher, yeah.
I tell you what, few things are more American than just some pizza and a pitcher.
Right.
But
All day.
I really got started homebrewing from that because a lot of the guys I worked with started homebrewing too, and I'm like, well, what's all this homebrewing stuff, and how do you do it? And there was a homebrew shop just down the street from Pizza Port there, and my ex-wife now bought me my first homebrew kit there, and so I started around 1995, 1996.
Excellent. Yeah. So, Steve, was there like a seminal beer in your mind that sort of got you to like say, I want to do this myself. I can do this.
Yeah, it was the Shark Bite at Pizza Port.
The Shark Bite. Nice.
Never forget your first.
Never
What?
forget your first, yes.
Absolutely. Style-wise, IPA, lager.
It's more of a hoppy red ale. So
Love
the
me a
red
red.
is for the bite. So it looks like you're bleeding. But in the shark part is the hops, the bitterness hops that are in it. So
I love that. Right on. Jeremy, how about you?
Well, long story on that, but I didn't drink till I was about 30. Well, okay, forgive that. 19 to 30, I didn't drink. That was based on a previous wife. So I was in the store looking for some beer one Monday evening after I got out of work. I was going to go home and watch the football game, and Went in the grocery store. I started looking. I thought there's got to be something more than what I'd been drinking in the past. And I looked at Rogue Dead Guy Ale, and this bottle was fantastic. It's something Jerry Garcia would have been super proud of. And I took it home and cracked open a bottle, and I started drinking it right out of the bottle, and it was amazing. I stopped watching the game. I was staring at the bottle, just enjoying the moment, and then I'd get to the last swig of beer, and it would just be foul. Something would happen, and I couldn't figure out what that was. So I'd crack open another beer, same thing, delicious all the way down. Last swallow, what I found by a little bit of research on the internet was that was the yeast in the bottom. That Rogue Dead Guy Ale is actually bottle conditioned, and that the yeast then lays on the bottom. And when you pour it in a glass, you shouldn't pour that last little bit. That's why it gets cloudy, right? So I started researching that a little bit, and that's a natural process, and I can make my own beer. What the hell is this? And off I went down this little rabbit hole. And again, my wife bought me my first kit. Some guy was selling his stuff here in Boise on Statesman, and went down and picked it up, and haven't stopped since.
What year was that for you?
Probably about 2004, 2005.
Excellent story. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. So to answer the question, then, how long have you guys been home brewing?
I guess technically since '95.
Yep, since 2005 for me. So.
Awesome.
Long
Yeah.
time.
All right.
Man, Jeremy, I wish I would have known you were a Deadhead. I was literally this close. I almost grabbed it. The Dogfish Head Grateful Dead variant that they did, if you had that one. What is that one called? The American something? I missed it, but it's wonderful if you haven't had it.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, I really like it. A little granola heavy for my taste, but still really good. Really good beer. I love the Grateful Dead.
I'm not really a deadhead. I just recognized.
Well, then, I recant that statement.
Excellente. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about nuts and bolts here. So, what kind of equipment is truly necessary to kind of brew by yourself at home?
Not much,
Not
interestingly.
much at all. Yeah.
Okay.
My first kit was a 3-gallon pot, glass carboy fermenter, 6.5 gallon, a can of hopped extract,
Right.
and a little package of yeast, and that was it.
How did your first beer turn out? Because I've only brewed probably like 4 beers myself, and so far I'm 1 for 4.
Well, to me, since I made it, it was the best.
Bingo. Yep.
Yeah, I remember the first time I made one and drank it, I was like, I should just drink other people's beer.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember it was supposed to be like a Mexican type of beer, and easy drinking, but in retrospect, I didn't ferment it long enough, and so it was very fizzy out of the bottle, and I'm pretty lucky that none of them exploded. But by the time you got it poured into the glass, there was probably about half of it left. But it was, to me at that time, it was okay. It was good. So
Nice.
I kept on doing it.
What was your first beer, Jeremy?
Very similar. It was a 3-gallon pot and a 5-gallon carboy. You actually had to sanitize water before you put it in there. And then you brewed up your batch. And my first beer, I'm still chasing the high. I thought it was absolutely amazing. It may not have been, but because it was something that I put together, I thought it was fantastic, and I've never accomplished the same feat since.
Always chasing that dragon.
Always chasing it. You never catch it, though. It's odd. It's
Right?
odd. What kind of beer was it? Lager, IPA?
Again, it was a hopped extract in a can. That the guy that I bought the kit from, it had been in his attic for a couple of years. The yeast had been in a packet. It was dry yeast on top. So again, this probably was not a good beer by any stretch of the imagination, but because we made it, it was amazing.
There it is. And that's half the battle right there. I love that.
Enjoyment. Enjoy this.
Because you put in the work, and that's what makes it count.
Yeah. If I always tell anybody that asks me about homebrewing, if you're involved in using a smoker at home, you like smoking meat, don't get started homebrewing. It's the same slippery slope, and you will run right down it.
Good to know.
I'll
Good
always
to
go to
know.
their house for barbecues, though.
Also true. Yeah, they do good work. So with that, then, would you guys how have you expanded your homebrew, let's say, setups, and would you guys recommend like an entry-level kit for people who want to get started?
Oh, expanded? Yes.
Lightly.
So,
Yes. All hobbies are bad that way.
yeah, currently I have a 10-gallon system. It's an old Brew Magic that I've hacked a bunch on. I replaced burners on it and the recirculation loop on it, temperature probes. And then I also have a conical fermenter. It's a 14-gallon conical fermenter. It's in a chest freezer to keep the fermentation level or temperature good. So it has expanded a lot over the time. But whether or not it's any better than a previous version of my equipment that I had, it all depends upon pretty much your yeast and how you manage your yeast. So
Okay.
from there, it's just like adding seasoning to your stews or your recipes.
Excellent. Could you expand a little bit on a conical fermenter? I'm sorry.
So a conical fermenter, like the top part is cylindrical, and then the bottom part you have the conical section, and it just makes it easier to draw the beer off of the yeast once it's done, because the yeast will all settle down on the bottom.
Okay. Makes
It's
sense.
just nerdery.
No, I was just curious. Yeah.
But I've used glass fermenters for many years, and those work very well too. So
Perfect.
Yep. And again, modification, that's a homebrewer's creed. You're never quite happy with something in the process, so you always want to change it. And all you can do is research stuff on forums or listen to podcasts, and you'll get an idea of what's there, and then you come up with your own solution. And so one of the big things that I noticed, we're also in a brew club, the Snake River Brewers here in Boise, and when we get together and do a group brew, you see everybody's solution to that same problem. And they can vary in all manner of function and usefulness. But it really helps to get together with other brewers and see how they came across the solution that you didn't like.
Excellent. Sounds like, collaboration is key to finding just different perspectives and ideas on it. Perfect.
Can make a big difference.
Absolutely.
Would you guys recommend, like, if you're into this foray of brewing, clone kits?
The way I feel about clone kits is why. I can go out and get that beer. It's fantastic. Why would I try and clone it? I don't feel like I'm getting anything there.
The only argument I could think of to this, and this is just plain devil's advocate, is if you want to see if you can actually do it and make the beer taste like it's supposed to.
There's merit in that,
That's
but I don't.
devil's advocate.
I don't feel that way.
Sure.
well, yeah, I used to do clone recipes quite a bit earlier in my brewing career. And, you get quite some experience out of it, but I'd rather just kind of brew my own, what I like, recipes.
Absolutely.
than
I agree. That was
anything
just
else.
a common question we had because we threw out some feelers, and a lot of people were like, should we use kits or not? And I've always been told by homebrewers, no. But
Well, it's like
They're
any
there for
other
a
recipe. You can try and make whatever your favorite restaurant does for a meal, but ultimately what ends up happening is that we want to change something. And so you think of homebrewing like cooking. You're just making it something you really want to eat, drink, whatever you want to make. And so with homebrewing, you've changed beer in that aspect because now you can make it any way you want it. You can have a mango habanero stout, for crying out loud, if that's what tickles your fancy. Or we've seen a guy in our club used to do a basil IPA, which was an absolutely amazing beer. I couldn't replicate it if I wanted to, but I don't want more than a pint. It's tasty, but I don't want a lot of it.
And that's fair. Yeah, so it sounds like there's some merit in being able to work from a kit versus kind of creating your own and just elaborating as much as possible because, we're human beings. We want to create. We want to make stuff that fits our needs, right?
Do what you like.
Do what you like. I love it.
Whatever
Yeah.
makes it easy for you and is going to keep you doing it and is exciting, do it.
Perfect. Before we get into this beer, I just want to kind of wrap this idea up. Is there a place online you would recommend a starting point to buy for somebody who wants to get started at home brewing?
I can think any local homebrew shop is going to help steer you in the right way. We've got a couple here in Boise. We got homebrew stuff, and then Brewers Haven and
Brewers
Craft
of
Brewers
Boise.
of Boise. Any one of those three places is going to help you tremendously in figuring out what you need and how to get started. None of them that I know of are going to upsell you for any reason whatsoever. That's most homebrewers that I've found are very cheap. We don't want to spend a lot of money on this. We don't know if we're going to pursue it for very long. So start with a plastic bucket and your wife's biggest stock pot. I mean, don't do it in the house, though. I'm warning you right now. Do not start in the house.
You know, and I appreciate that you didn't give a website and actually recommended, if you're local, to go to these places, because I want always, especially now, if you can go and support these places, go and buy local as often as you can.
Yes.
Because these shops are freaking cool.
Yep.
And I want them to stick around from
Yep.
my own selfish little. I'm not going to go brew probably, but I need a place to buy this. The beer it is.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
a lot of times you'll find somebody with some knowledge there that can answer your questions, and that's huge helpful. I started out with a website online, and I think most mainstream homebrewers start at the same place, and it's called howtobrew.com.
Or Charlie Papazian's book.
Yeah. But it will walk you through every kind of brewing you want to do, whether it's extract or all grain or a combination of both. He'll walk you through your first batch, and there's no better way to learn than that book. I'm convinced.
What's the name
I've
of the
given
book?
away several.
What's the name of the book?
How to
How to
Brew,
Brew.
How
Oh,
to
okay.
Brew.
Yep.
By
John Palmer.
John Palmer. All right.
He actually has a website. His first edition is free. That's where I got started. Of course, I've bought several of his books since then, but it explains just about everything there is to explain. But it doesn't solve everything. It
Sure.
just gets you started. So that's the amazing part.
Excellent.
All right, let's drink another beer.
Let's do that.
Two beers from Utah in a row. Totally accidental. This is from Shades Brewing. This is their Berliner Weisse Ale brewed with plum. Really cool color coming right off the bat there. Only 4%, so you can definitely tell we're drinking beer from Utah. I was going to say sorry, but I'm not. But this will be the third beer I've had from Shades Brewing. So far, they're 0-2, so hopefully this one's good. Not to, lead the witness or anything.
I'm sorry, what style is this?
It is a Berliner Weisse.
with Plum.
Smells like a sour.
It almost drinks like a sour without the tartness.
I pulled up on Untapped. Let's see what we got here. Out of 1,080 check-ins, we have an average rating of 3.65%. No IBUs listed. 3.65. What do you think, Vic? Get us started, baby.
I'm not super
sour
pumped.
guy.
I feel like 3.65 is a little high. I don't know what to make of this. I don't like it very much.
It tastes like a watered-down plum sour.
Yeah.
I will go as far to say they are 0 for 3.
Yes. Sorry, Shades. You are. Sorry, not sorry. Okay, this is on you at this point. All right.
Tell us what you think.
So go back to BJCP guidelines, which is where I grew up and what I know. A Berliner Weisse is a very small sour beer. It's a traditional German wheat beer that is very small. It's also sour, and it typically they sweeten it with a syrup, either woodruff or raspberry. Right?
Raspberry, yep.
Not very often. I don't think they do many fruited ones. It's not very sour. I'll give it that. This is too sweet for a Berliner Weisse. It should be a little bit of a pucker factor, and I don't get that here.
Or more than it is.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd have to say the same. It's fairly easy drinking and a little sweet, but I'd probably say it's about a 3.
Mm-hmm.
For what it is.
Really, I'm down at 2, so 2-1.
I'm more generous.
Usually is.
I am curious, Jeremy, if you're watching this, I saw you pour a little bit of that into your previous cup, swoosh it around, and then take a sip.
Right. Yeah. That the whole point of that is to give yourself room to swirl it and get aromas to release.
Okay.
And then you just want to stick your nose right in there and sniff them in. So it's all about trying to get aromas before they fleet away, because they won't last very long.
Excellent. Yeah. Yeah, did it there.
See, there you go.
Yeah, I would probably rate this a 2.75. I'm not super pumped about this beer. Like, it drinks like a sour without the tartness, so I feel like I'm missing something there as well. And it is easy drinking. I'll give it that much. Yeah. What do you think, JB?
I'd straight give it a 1.75. I gave the rest of mine to Cora. I don't even want it.
Yeah. It's a nice fruit juice.
Yeah. Yeah.
A watered
Or
down cherry pie. Phil.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's well
Pretty
said.
close,
well
yeah.
said.
Man, well, I apologize, gentlemen. I thought that might go better.
No, that's as
It's all part of the game.
homebrew judges. I always say when we start a competition, you can be in a competition at a table and get the most amazing beer you've ever had in your life, and then follow it with the worst beer you've ever had. So we've tasted it all as homebrew judges, and it's always a learning experience, and we always have a lot of fun with it. It doesn't matter what it is.
Beautiful.
That's a great attitude. Yeah. All right. So, because of this beer, it tastes not super awesome, super weird. Let's talk about recipes a little bit. How do you guys come up with your recipes? Just out of curiosity, is it?
I research just online, look at what everybody else is doing. I've got a couple of books that I look at what they may have done in the past, and then I'll adapt it a little bit to what I think it should be, or what I know from experience I feel like the grain bill should be, or what the hop should be, or change it entirely and just use it as a background, and then add the spices that I want. You know, if you're making chicken wings, you want them spicier, you add more habaneros, say. So that's kind of what I do with it.
I pretty much do the same thing. A lot of the times for my IPAs, like I've dialed in what the malt recipe I like is, and then I'll just vary the hops on it and see what that does to the rest of the IPA. So part of it is, you research and look at different sources and see what looks good, and then use part of your own experience to develop what you want.
Just having brewed with Steve a few times and knowing him, we have dramatically different ways of going about this. I willy-nilly it. I might throw something together and just give it a whirl and see what happens. This guy has a plan, and
Once
he
I have a
sticks to the
you gotta
plan.
stick to it. There's no variation.
I like it.
I want to hear about some of the weirder stuff you guys have brewed, because I know our homebrew friend, he doesn't brew like normal beer that you're going to want to go and buy at a grocery store. It's a green tea IPA, which I loved.
Great.
Pink peppercorn plum quad, which was also really good, but I would imagine not for. I mean, you have to really appreciate beer to get down on that. So what's sort of some of the weird variants that you guys have done to where you're just like, let's see.
I'm much of a traditionalist, and it doesn't get that weird. I have done a Berliner Weisse that I soured tremendously that would rival any sour thing you've ever had in your life. But it lasted an awful long time because I couldn't drink a lot of it at once.
Yeah, I'm not much of a weird brewer either. I'll do a Christmas beer once in a while, which has like orange peel and ginger and cinnamon and kind of those spices in it, but I don't really do that much of weird stuff, so
Don't get too strange with it. That's
don't
all right.
get too strange, yeah.
No worries. Is there like a specific style of beer that you guys like enjoy brewing, that you like doing most often?
And on the flip side of that you hate brewing.
Hate, yeah. So I came up with this recipe for a raspberry wheat beer, and I just kind of threw it together at the time because my wife wanted something easy to drink that was fruity, because that's kind of what she was into before she really got into IPAs and that type of thing. So I just kind of threw this thing together and made 10 gallons of it, and before I knew it, it was gone. And she's like, well, brew some more. So I brew some more. Before I knew it, it was gone. And like I said earlier in the podcast here, that fruit beer really isn't my thing. So I'd drink 1 or 2 of them, and that would be enough for me. But I could not keep that thing on tap. And I just got tired of brewing it because I don't like it. So I'd say that would have to be one of the beers that I don't like to brew. And fortunately, my wife got into IPAs now, so I don't have to brew it very often anymore. But one of my
Sorry about
favorite
your wife.
styles of beer to brew is oatmeal stout. So
Okay.
I just find that style very interesting. And there's a lot of variations you can do on it. And that's just kind of works with my water really well. And I just kind of like to brew that one. So
Excellent. How about you, Jeremy?
I love traditional German brewing. One of my favorite styles of all time is called an alt beer. I brew that. It's always on tap at my house. It's one of my favorites of all time, and I can't get away from it.
I would like to try some of yours then, because when I was on the East Coast, I had a fair amount of those, and I'm not a fan.
Really?
In general, there's something like maybe smoky about them or something that I found is maybe it's an East Coast thing. I don't
Maybe,
know, but
yeah.
I was not finding myself enjoying many
Yeah,
alt
you,
beers.
you can find styles change quite a bit regionally.
Mhm.
Yes, they will change dramatically. So
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't think I've had one from Idaho. All mine have been from like the East Coast or.
Yeah, did you brought some back?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I recall that now. Yeah, that was an interesting, weird smoky quality. Was it the water? Maybe.
I don't know. I feel like all the water in Baltimore is just super dirty. So maybe.
Interesting. Yeah, could be. With Jeremy, is there a style that you dislike brewing? Like you don't want to do it at all?
no, I my big problem is pale ales and IPAs. I can't seem to make a good one.
Okay.
So they frustrate me, but I wouldn't say I dislike anything. I'll brew anything once just to give it a whirl.
Sure.
There's
Yeah.
always something to learn there.
So I want to go back to the previous conversation that we started, because you said you're big when it comes to the Western Idaho Fair, the kind of leading that for the home brewers that enter. I'm pretty sure that has been canceled this year.
Yes,
Everything
yes, it has.
How's that going for you guys? Are you still working with the homebrew community? Kind of just tell us about that process, if you don't mind, or lack thereof currently.
This year was a big disappointment when we found out that the fair wasn't going to happen. We've grown it quite a bit. When we first took over, there was only 25 or 30 entries.
yeah, somewhere in there.
And last year we had 150 homebrew entries. It takes us about 2 days to judge all of them. So we've grown it quite a bit. It's been very fun with that. And this year, Sockeye had agreed to choose from the top 3 beers one that they were going to brew and call it the fair beer next year. So we're quite disappointed that the fair was canceled this year because that part all fell apart. I do expect Sockeye to continue on that next year, and we're hoping to have a big turnout. So we're kind of disappointed, but we're very excited for what's upcoming because, I mean, what more than to go to the fair and tell your friends, that's my beer. I got to brew that at Sockeye with the Brewers, and then it's also going on to the GABF in their Pro-Am series is what they've agreed to. So it's kind of a big deal. We're excited.
As well you should be. That's super cool. So hopefully, like, do your part, people, so next year we can make this shit happen.
Right? Yeah, turn them all
Definitely.
in.
Exactly.
We'll judge it. Just don't
Yeah.
be offended if it doesn't come back good, because it happens. Happens to all of us.
Happens to everybody, yep.
All right, let's drink another beer I'm super excited for. I don't know why I did this today. I just got, like, weird shit. Again, because like we were talking before, we tend to have had a lot of the beers that we're going to run into. So this is our beer from Idaho. I don't know if you guys have listened to our proper podcast. Every podcast, we have to have a beer from Idaho. We call it our I'd Tap That series because you get it. So let's pretend that this is what's happening on this one. So not only do we rate it, but we talk about if we tap it or not. Then are we going to keep drinking of it? If we had access to a kegerator, would we put it in our garage?
And what is this?
Who knows? All right. So this is from Western Collective. It's called the Freedom Juice Malt Liquor for America. Coming in at 8.5%. So at least we get some alcohol in this bitch.
8.5 and a malt liquor.
And a malt liquor, baby. This is probably going to be terrible, but I'm excited.
Not as bad as you think, but it's not great.
So, I just always assume what makes it a malt liquor is that it's not good. But I assume that's probably not accurate. I haven't tried this yet. What makes it a malt liquor?
It's unhopped.
Okay.
It should be extremely lightly hopped.
So that's why it's not a beer.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Beer technically has to have right malt, hops, yeast.
Yeast.
But a malt liquor then is just malt and yeast.
Okay. Okay. Guess that makes sense. Yeah, it's actually not bad. Not at all. I actually kind of like
Usually
this.
Higher alcohol. Too.
It's big, yes. It's definitely warming. I get that.
It is warming, and
You
after
can smell the warming.
Yes,
After our
you can. True. Yeah, that's a good way to put that. It is a big malt style beer, if you will. Yeah, the smell, the aromas, I get like sweeter than I thought initially. What do you guys think?
I expected it to be much sweeter. I think the alcohol offsets the maltiness, which
Yes,
kind of a shock to
definitely.
me. It's a little
Yeah.
bit spicy in the alcohol.
There's
Yeah.
some bitterness in there too,
You think so?
at the end. Yeah.
I wonder how they
But,
get that. No
don't know.
ratings yet on Untapped because we're only at 9. We got to have 10 for it to have a rating. Just a quick scroll through there, all over the place. 375, 275, 3, 225, 35. So, huh. Let's see. Who wants to start? Tell us, what do you rate it, and would you tap it?
No, not tap it.
Fair.
I might have one or two, but I'm not going to tap it. It depends on what else is available.
This reminds me more of a Belgian golden ale than really a malt liquor. I
So-
think it's a spiciness to it.
You think
right?
you think the
Yeah, it's
spiciness
like
is
got a little
fermentation created?
I totally
Probably,
agree.
yeah.
I'm getting
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
It's a
now
little
that he says it,
peppery
yeah.
and spicy, but if you want to rate it as a malt liquor, then you have to score it low, right? But if you want
Right.
to rate it as something else, then
Yeah,
it's
and
not bad.
There's another little known fact about home brewing and judging is that all the judges take the beer, they take a sample, and they judge it silently by themselves first. You score it, you write all of your notes, and then the entire table discusses that beer. And it's, as I heard explained at a competition one time, these are not the droids you're looking for. Somebody will tell you about an off flavor in a beer that suddenly you can't get away from, but that you didn't notice before. So silently judge beer before you talk to anyone about it and get your impression first and then discuss, because somebody can tell you one little thing and it will blow your mind and you won't be able to get away from it.
That makes sense. It's totally happened to us many times on the
Oh
podcast.
yeah. It's like if we said, "Hey, don't think about pink elephants." What are you thinking about? Pink elephants.
Right, yeah.
Easily. Yeah. Okay, that makes. a
Or
boatload
one of my
sense.
favorites is the homebrewers in our club go, well, I think there's some diacetyl. What do you think of this? Damn it. I'm done then. I can't think of anything else. That's what I'm looking for. So, and if you're a home brewer and you want to give somebody your beer, just ask them, what do you think? Don't sway them in any way, shape, or form. That's faux pas with judging.
Don't lead the witness.
Exactly.
Yeah. Gotcha.
I like that. I may use that yet.
Well, there you go.
Have
Yeah.
at it. Cheers.
Interesting. So, Steve, let's start with you then. What would you rate this?
Wait, Jeremy, you said you're not going to tap it. Did you give it a rating?
Oh, sorry.
Not yet. No.
Go ahead.
Oh, all right. Or
We're still at 2.
still
two.
two.
Well, yeah, nothing's pushed me off a 2 yet.
That's fair. Yeah.
Have at it, Steve.
I'd say probably a 275. I think of it again more like a golden Belgian ale. but
Interesting.
It's pretty okay for
What
me.
would you judge as a malt liquor?
What would I judge as a malt liquor?
Yeah, BJCP
Oh.
score. What would
Oh.
you give it as a
Oh.
malt liquor?
1.5.
Can you tell us about the BJCP ratings?
So BJCP gives a 50-point score, and it's broken down into
a
aroma.
50-point score,
50 points total.
and you get a 1.
A 50 point. No, he didn't give it a 1. He was converting. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Okay. I was like, whoa.
A 1.5 on
No,
Untappd.
no. So I'm sure Steve was converting at that point, but he's in what
Untapped are
Untappd,
going.
yeah. The BJCP gives you 50 points, and the significant amount is in the flavor. But then you also get 3 points for appearance. You get 10.
5 for aroma.
5 for aroma?
I believe it is.
I'd have to look at a score sheet.
Okay.
But you get 50 points total. We will not score anything under a 13. That's just kind of an unwritten rule. 13's as low as it can get. 50 would be a perfect beer. None has been made. Nobody's ever made one. I think the highest I've ever scored in a competition that I've sent a beer to, I got a 42 once, which I was ecstatic about. And you got higher than that, though, right?
I don't think my score was higher,
Yeah, but you got the gold.
but I got a gold. Yeah.
I only got a bronze. Bullshit.
Jeremy remembers. Jeremy remembers.
Yes, but I walked the podium. He didn't.
Oh,
wasn't fair. So it really wasn't fair.
So a little bit of competition with homebrewers, just a little.
I like your style, guys. I do. Yeah.
I've had a lot of fun with this.
That's good. I'm glad. That's what it's about.
When we first got into judging, Steve and I used to give each other a 6-pack of every homebrew, and on the condition that we brutally judged one another. So that's how we improved as brewers, is by being
Good.
harsh.
But
Yeah.
that's how we really met each other too,
Right.
right? Because we were both home brewers, but we wanted to know what was wrong with our beer, other than just getting feedback of, oh, this is good, but
Yeah.
the beer's not going down in the tank. It's still here, so really, it's not good. So, if your beer is all of a sudden gone, then you know it's good. So, but it was more the investigation onto what makes a good beer and why are people drinking this particular beer and why do they like it so much. So
Interesting.
it's kind of quantifying all those types of questions.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys sort of connected with a lot of honesty there with each other, and it's like to brew with someone is to know someone, right?
I won't go that far.
No, I'm not going that far either. I think we've only actually brewed a beer together maybe twice in 12 years, 14 years.
Yeah, something like
Maybe.
that. Maybe
Yeah,
3 times.
yeah, maybe.
Maybe I jumped the shark there, but you get what I'm saying. Yeah.
I always say home brewing's kind of like masturbation. It's something you do at home by yourself.
You guys don't sit back to back and
Nope. No blindfolds right there. Yeah.
Nope, I'm uncomfortable. I might be
That's
Oh,
man.
uh,
Blueberry pancakes. Okay.
so we have 2 would not get tapped, and our rule is it has to be majority rules. If there's 4, it has to be 3 out of 4. So beer's not getting tapped. I would. I don't know the malt liquor guidelines. I do enjoy this beer more than what we've had so far. I'd probably give it a 3.25, but no, it's a one and done for me. That's for sure.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna go 3. It's definitely a one and done. The alcohol on this is so present. It's just sort of tough to get through. I'll be real honest. I like that it's up there, but it is in your face.
Yeah, it's warm.
Yep.
It makes you warm.
Yep.
That's for sure. That's gonna make me burp like a motherfucker too.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. Interesting. So when you guys are brewing, sort of talking about recipes here, moving on, just your brew process, can you guys tell when you guys have like gold essentially, like when you're like, this is really tasty, I really like what I've done, or do you like know off the top of your head, is this going to be a terrible beer? Is there a point in the process that you can kind of ascertain that?
There's always hope.
I love it. I love it. I do.
Yeah, the terrible point is when you taste it after it's done fermenting.
Right. Yes.
And that's the point of no return. So
You're kind of stuck. It's a dynamic process. It's constantly evolving from the time that you get the grain and blend it together and mash, and then you boil and you add your hops. It constantly changes. So one of my goals is to try and taste it every time, and that helps me on a recipe that I brew all the time tell how well it's going to do. But once it goes in that tank and the fermentation starts, you can goof it up. So it's never done till it's done. And again, like I said, I always have hope that it's better. And I've had a beer where I thought was really good and took it to a homebrew club, and somebody called me out, and they were right, and it's frustrating.
That was going to be one of my next questions, especially since you both seem to do a lot of competitive brewing. Has there ever been one that you've taken and you're like, this is going to crush it, I'm taking gold, and then it got maybe that 13 on there, or vice versa? It's like, well, it's done. I need a beer. It's probably going to get a 13. Holy shit, it got a 40. Has anything like that ever happened?
Yeah, actually, the biggest win I ever made in a competition, I won a bronze in the National Homebrew competition for a porter, and I threw it in because what the hell. And it went through the first round, and then it won bronze at the finals, which was, in that category, there were 1,700 beers. So number 3 out of the country is 1,700 beers that year, and it was a what the hell beer that I threw in. And the ones that I thought were going to do fantastic didn't even make the second round.
Wow.
Well,
That's pretty rad.
I had a similar experience. The top award I ever won was the gold, but it was for a Vienna lager, and that's not really a very popular style. I brewed it, and I thought it was pretty good, and I put it on tap, and I seemed to be the only person that liked it, and so I'm like, well, maybe there's something wrong with it. So I bottled up a few of them and put them in my beer fridge and forgot about them, and then I was going to enter them into the homebrew competition, and I forgot that year, and then I saw them in there the next year, and I stuck a couple of them in there, and it went on to the second round. It did okay, and then all of a sudden I got a phone call from one of our friends and said, hey, you won a gold medal at the
For a beer that you had sitting in your fridge for a year.
Yeah.
2.
2 years.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. Do Vienna lagers tend to last that long?
If treated properly,
treated
yes.
right.
Properly,
stored
yeah.
right. Okay,
Yeah. So
interesting.
I mean, it was in there at 35 degrees for 2 years, and everything just kind of fell out. And it was nice and clear, and apparently delicious.
Apparently.
Apparently. Took the gold. Good for you, man. Interesting. Okay. So let's talk competition. I know we've mentioned a few of them. Can you guys kind of just give us a list of the competitions you've kind of entered, or how that sort of formed your opinion about them?
So the first competition I entered was called the Slurp and Burp in Oregon. That was probably in 2006.
Great
So
name.
I'd only been homebrewing for about 2 years, and one of the guys from our club talked me into entering. And one of my beers that I really enjoyed, and everybody seemed to like, won a silver medal at the competition, and that sold me. And I could not tell you the number of competitions I've entered since then.
Sure.
I don't enter much of the competitions around here because I'm generally the head judge, and I don't want to skew anything.
Fair, and that's fair. Okay. Steve, how about you?
Yeah, similar. I kind of got the competition bug for a while and was just entering my beer into any competition that I could find, kind of semi-locally. Trying to stay on more on the West Coast area, but there's been a lot of them. And then it was more for the feedback to see if I had my process down right, and if other people could tell if there was some problem there. So I kind of compiled all the notes from all those competitions and refined my process from there.
Excellent. So for the viewers and the listeners at home, is there a particular like holy grail competition that is considered like highly revered for all homebrewers?
The Western Idaho Fair.
There it
Only
is.
second to the
Wasn't expecting
NHC.
that. Yeah. You're good.
You got to plug it. You got to plug
I
it.
like your style.
love it.
I like your style.
Oh, speaking of plugs, let's get that out of the way real quick. Since we're here, that's pretty much what I do. I just do the plugs. That's all. Thank you again to our fine friends here at the Lounge at the End of the Universe off of Vista. If you're in the Treasure Valley, you got to check it out when you can. But if you can't come in, make sure you go to loungeboise.com/shop. Why? Because they do growler fills and exchanges, and they'll deliver them. You can get a growler without putting pants on. Pretty damn cool. Use the code Brewnomics, $5 off your growler fill. How neat is that? That's pretty neat. Also, make sure you check out their patreon.com/loungeboise. It really helps support the staff, the local artists that come by. And then July 31st, right around the corner here, they are doing a noon to midnight streamathon for Corona, a.k.a. a Coronathon. 12-hour live stream fund. I was doing so well until then.
You were killing it. Killing it.
Oh, man, let me start that over. A 12-hour live stream fundraiser for the lounge produced in collaboration with the Blue City and Book Events Boise. And, of course, coming from the Blue City, I assume they're in collaboration with this. Alvin Williams, great comedian, performing live at the lounge Friday and Saturday, July 31st and August 1st. Get your $10 pre-sale tickets, loungeboise.com/shop. There we go.
Check
Plugs.
it out. A-dubs at
Plugs.
the lounge. Fantastic. So it looks like we have another beer poured for us here.
Shit.
Look at that.
What?
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 It's a beer
Weird.
podcast? You guys need to catch
bigger
up
than
there.
the
Look at
last
that. I thought you guys were professionals, and we've got all this beer left on this end of the
questioning you
table.
saying, shit, I'm waiting for the next one. 'cause twos aren't cutting it.
Fair enough. I did bring the beer. Still got to drink it. This is. Oh no, where'd the can go?
Uh-oh. Boop, boop, ba-doop.
I'm back. This is. Ooh, I like these guys a lot. I couldn't remember what I got.
Oh.
This is from Fort George Brewery. Finally, a beer out of the Northwest. These guys are from Oregon. Is that right? Yeah,
Maybe.
maybe.
Somebody will call you out.
Somebody fact check it. Get back to us. Yeah.
Yeah, if not, you can yell at me. Whatever. This is called the Suicide Squeeze. This beer is a collaboration between Suicide Squeeze Records and Fort George. Special edition IPA coming in at 7.2%. On the bottom of the can, it has the printed date on there, and it says open from the other end, in case you were confused.
You know, sometimes I do get lost. I do need those instructions. Yeah.
Astoria, Oregon. Okay, good. I was right.
Nice.
Totally right.
Nice.
I knew that the whole time.
I know. Didn't question it at all, bro. All right, so Fort George, the Suicide Squeeze. You guys have gone in for a sniff, maybe a taste test. What do you guys think? Jeremy.
Does it say anywhere on there that it's like a hazy IPA? It's very like juicy.
Not on the can, no, just special edition IPA is all it says.
Pineapple.
A lot of pineapple.
A lot of pineapple. Yeah, I can get that as well.
Pineapple and mango too. It seems
With some nice hoppy,
resiny, piney.
floral, piney.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on here. This is a very muddled hop bomb.
Okay.
Which is good.
Okay.
Is it too much going on?
Oh, hell no.
And it seems like, I don't know how you guys feel. I feel like mango is the flavor of the summer right now. And like literally like every other beer or every third beer I've drinking, it's got mangoes in it. Is there a trend going on? What do you guys think?
I steer clear of fruit beers.
Fair. Okay.
So
Not sure.
any of my comments today are based on my judging experience when it comes to fruit beers tonight. So
Okay. Gotcha.
it's not something I seek out.
On Untapped,
Fair.
can 7.2%, same as the can, 4.03 rating. Wow, high rating. Details, the brewery has remastered the recipe in a big way. Artfully cut like a 7-inch vinyl. Squeeze pops with Mosaic Amarillo and Citra hops. Front-loaded with organic 2-row barley and paired with deep cuts of specialty malt. Suicide Squeeze IPA is a well-rounded experience. Tasting notes, hoppy, citrusy, smooth, tropical, and light. Does that stand up, Steve?
Well, I think it's a decent IPA. I like my IPAs a little crisper. This seems a little sweet and, like Jeremy said, muddled. That there's a lot of fruitiness to it, but there's also a lot of piney, resiny to it. So I'm kind of in the middle on this one here. So I'd say probably about a 3 out of 5 on it.
Okay.
I love it. But again, just coming from a fucking malt liquor from a Berliner Weisse to whatever the shit that first beer was we drank, finally I'm like, it's beer. It's like actually a beer.
Yep, that's exactly
There
right.
might be something with that, but I enjoy it thoroughly. I'd give it a 3.75.
Every time. Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I would go with a 3.75. I like what this is doing. It's got a complex profile lends towards the hoppier side of things, as far as I can tell. I like it a lot. Yeah, 375, man.
Yeah, but you were right, definitely piney. But I can
Piney.
kind of dig that sometimes.
You know,
Depends.
given what Steve said and what you guys have said, I'll move it up to 2.8. It needs it needs to be thinner. It's
you
too
are a
heavy.
judge.
It's right.
Kick ass.
As Steve called my last IPA, it's flabby.
That's what my girlfriend called me just before I left.
Damn.
See you later, flabby. She did not say that. She's
I was
too
like,
nice.
she wouldn't do that. She's a nice lady. I
I hope I get home. What's up, flabby?
Hope she's not
ball in
listening.
a cup, man. All right. Yeah. So 275 for you. Okay. Interesting. All right. Yeah. Interesting beer. Okay. I'm sort of curious now. Like, what if we did like our reviews versus the judges' beers? Very.
If we reviewed their beer,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Can we do that one day? Maybe we'll reserve it another
If we
time.
bring our beer in,
Yeah.
I'd be glad to.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's one of the biggest things about homebrewing is I get to share.
Yeah.
People love it. I work in a place where people request, they ask for me to bring in my beer all the time. So I'm more than happy to. The one caveat is that if I bring you a growler beer, the growler comes back full.
Oh, okay.
I like
I
that.
like that.
I like
It's a
that.
good plan. That's a good rule.
It would be a different beer, not mine, though.
Also true.
Oh,
Yeah.
even yours. I'm good.
Oh.
Try them all.
You heard it here first.
We're up for it.
I like your attitude. Like your attitude.
Always something to learn.
All right. Do you guys have any bits of advice for homebrewers? I know you've got a little bit here, but if you were to start, if you were to listen to this podcast and be like, you know what, I'm gonna try it. One advice either to sway them or dissuade them from pursuing this.
I think of
I would-
everything that homebrewing has given me. Do it.
Just
Just do it. Just spend some time and do it. It's well worth the attempt.
But-
And even if you don't like it, it's easy to move on.
I would seek out a club to join too, so that you have similar minds that you can bounce ideas off of, and have people that actually enjoy beer and can evaluate it to give you some feedback on it too. So those would be my pieces of advice.
Absolutely. And if you're watching this or listening to this and you want to know one of those clubs, if you're in the local area, please shoot us a message and we will get in contact with these gentlemen and point you in the right direction.
Check out the Snake River Brewers.org. That's the one we're affiliated with. There's a couple other in town. Please get with them. It doesn't matter which one it is. Is it Boise Brewers?
Boise Brewers, I think, is the other one.
Yep, is another club. We have just over the border in Ontario is the Malheur Mashers, another great group. Any homebrew club that you come across is going to be a bunch of very passionate guys that really want to help you brew good beer.
Or even if you want to start your own, that's great too.
Yep.
Absolutely. The world needs more community. It needs more beer. No matter how much community or beer we get, I will never retract that statement.
100%. No, I 100% agree with you. That's fantastic. Well, I mean, honestly, that's all I got for today, gents. We've tried a lot of beer today. We've had a lot of great conversation.
Ready
Yeah.
for some rapid fire questions? Did we bring those?
We did not. That's why
Son
I
of
was
a
going to
bitch.
continue to move on.
All right. Could probably find them on my phone. Nope, too late.
Yep.
All right. Well, then, do you guys have some parting advice? It doesn't have to be beer related. It could be beer related. A gift, as it were. You could share a life philosophy. If there's something you've been doing that you really enjoy that you think other people should do, maybe reading, maybe watching. What's good for the people?
Brew what you like.
Brew what you like. Steve?
Be passionate about something and always learn.
Wonderful.
Yeah, if you want to do something, if you're wondering, should I do it? Yeah.
Do it.
Short and sweet. That's
Do it.
pretty much all there is to it. No, I really appreciate you guys coming on. I look forward to trying your beer. And next year, the Western Idaho Fair. Let's do what we can to make sure that comes back to where we can have those sweet homebrew competitions. And I really want to see who the winner is so I can drink that one.
I like it.
I like it. Me
I
too.
like it.
Again, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Do you guys want to throw out any like personal or professional plugs on top of the Snake River Brew Club that people can follow you, check you out at?
I got nothing.
Nope, I don't have anything else.
Okay. All right. Cool. Wasn't sure if you guys had like a Pornhub page or something that maybe you wanted to.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. All right. Well, no OnlyFans account. Or it's Corona. We don't know what we have to do to make make it.
Do what you got to do, man.
All
Do
right,
what you're
well,
passionate about.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate that so much.
Thank
Until
you very
next
much.
time, make sure you follow the Lounge, loungeboise.com, us, Brewnomics, on all things social media. Drink good beer. Be a good person. I'm Jerry.
I've been Vic.
Jeremy.
Handsome Steve.
Handsome Steve. Cheers.
Cheers.